Right, so the cases have came out from the weekend. Now, first things first, I'm not going to be talking about the cases probably within the next couple days. I'm just going to be putting out normal videos. Unless they go up, I don't think it's even worth bringing it up anymore. I mean, it hasn't been worth it for a while, but nonetheless, 303 cases over the last 4 days, but the active cases are down by like 100. So that's good news. Hospitalizations are down. Pretty much everything is better. So the testing was still um, down slightly, probably, but it's still pretty high. So that's not something that's changed too much. The cases were down in Ontario over the last couple days, I know a few days, so that's also good. Quebec, I think, is still pretty steady, but again, it's going to be same old, same old. The cases are already trending down before the mask laws, or at least in Alberta. In the other provinces, it was the opposite. I mean, like I say, in Ontario, it was like a month. Quebec, it was like a month. Again, so there's really no link, at least at this point, with the whole mask thing. There isn't even a link in pretty much all the states that have done it too. There's been states that have had the mask laws going back to like in June, so and a lot of those states have gone up. I mean, California being one of them. New Mexico, I believe, is another that have had mask laws for a while, and yet the cases have actually gone up in a lot of those states. So again, it's like I've been saying. I think masks the effect is largely negligible. Um, Especially if you're healthy, especially if you're healthy. If you're sick, I can maybe see it, but if you're sick, you shouldn't be out in public that much to begin with. Anyway, so the numbers out of the states, the cases were down a little bit, but the death numbers were up again. So that's it's not great news, but again, it's still not super high, I guess is the better way of putting it. It's not looking like they're going to trend up because they've been trending up a little bit for like a month now, and the it looks like the curve has definitely flattened out again. So that's good news coming out of the states. As far as other stuff goes, so basically it was announced. I think Cam was talking about it too, that we might have to be wearing masks again for 2 or 3 years. Like again, it's exactly what I talked about too. It's the same thing with the whole 15 days to flatten the curve, and we're at over 4 months now. Um, Again, they're not going to. Again, when people hear these whole mask law things, it's, oh well, yeah, we only have to do it for a month or two, and then we'll be good to go, or even maybe to the end of next winter at most. But no, the reality is that they're just going to keep pushing it back. They're just going to keep pushing it back. The same thing with 2 weeks to flatten the curve, and we have many areas that are still locked down, most at least to some degree, and that's how it's going to go, and that's what I've been saying all along now. um, and again, at the start of all this kind of stuff, I was, very hesitantly supportive of this kind of stuff, but I completely underestimated just how far that these people would be willing to take it, and just how much this would be politicized, which again, I should have known, but unfortunately, that was something that I was wrong about. And at the very least, I've clearly fixed or shored up the whole terrible, terrible stuff. And again, I wasn't supportive of the full-on lockdowns and force everybody to wear masks. I would be like, yeah. I was kind of saying, yeah, you should suggest people wear masks. You should suggest people stay home, but not force. I don't believe in force. I don't care. Like I say, I don't care how bad the pandemic is or how high the death rate is. I don't believe people should be forced to do anything. Again, so that's the first thing I wanted to bring up, and it's like I say too, like you have to be against this kind of stuff. Number one, because the science is not there. None of these governments or anyone has provided any science that making healthy people wear masks does anything. No one's provided any evidence of that, and if they haven't done it to this point, they probably won't. This is from Paul Yoel. He says Sweden update 31st of July, zero deaths in the past 5 days, or sorry, in the past 3 days, five in the past week, no lockdowns, no masks, no panic. Now again, this is just more proof that Sweden's approach worked, because Sweden's death rate is continuing to tick down. Their case totals are continuing to tick down, while the rest of the world most of the rest of the world at least stays pretty steady. I mean, a lot of the worlds have had increases. So again, that's just more evidence that Sweden's approach worked. Again, people don't want to hear it because it contradicts political ideology and all that garbage, but it's just reality. Again, I hate to break it to people, but the lockdowns they didn't work. They didn't do anything. They maybe slowed the spread a tiny bit, but it was largely negligible. In that, again, like I say, Sweden's approach is proven successful. And again, what you would look at for Sweden's approach to not have been proven successful is if um, their death rate is extremely high. They're still having spikes. All that kind of stuff too. And this is the other thing too about the pro lockdown crowd is that they never ever acknowledge the fact that um, you have to have a rational cost benefit analysis. And this is why all these doctors and epidemiologists and all these people, you need to be skeptical of their suggestions, not because they don't know what they're talking about when it comes to the infectious disease aspect of it, but because these people don't have any training in the economic effects of a lockdown. They don't have any training in the psychological aspects of the lockdown. And it doesn't make any sense because if the lockdowns were rooted in fact and in reality, we wouldn't have to silence people that have dissenting opinions, because if the lockdowns made sense, then you would have no problems with it. It's the same stuff with censorship and all that kind of stuff, is that if your opinions and beliefs are rooted in reality, then there's no reason for you to want to censor people because your opinions are rooted in reality. Again, it's the anybody who wants to ban stuff on the internet, like I say, their main goal is that they don't have an argument in general, a better argument against the people that they want to ban. And rather than having a rational debate, because again, they can't have a rational debate because they would lose and look bad, they just resort to basically wanting to censor people. And it's the same stuff with the hydroxychloroquine and questioning the lockdowns and all this kind of stuff. And that there's no science behind it. It's like I say, no science behind it. This is from Steven Crowder. He says the top states by virus death rates per capita, all of them with the exception of Maryland, are under control of a Democratic governor, and ranked in the top 15 states for most aggressive lockdowns. Again, this is just more evidence that the lockdowns, especially the draconian lockdowns, don't work. And it's also more evidence of Democrats and leftists just completely mismanaging things. Now, again, these Democratic governors, they do have an incentive to hurt the economy because, again, I mean, it's like I've been saying all along, is that everybody knows that one of the main reasons why Trump is so popular is because the economy, it wasn't as good as what Trump claims it is. I'll give people that. But it was much better than Canada, for example. It was much better than under Obama. So that is one of the many reasons why Trump was so popular and why he was almost a guarantee to get reelected prior to this whole situation. And these Democratic governors know that if they can hurt the economy, then that's going to most likely hurt Trump. And again, a lot of people say, oh, are they really that petty? Of course they're really that petty. Like, come on. It's pretty much a fact that, I mean, number one, the whole hydroxychloroquine thing, we know it's a safe drug. Again, the fact that you have CBC and CNN and these outlets running, oh, it's not a proven safe drug. Well, yes, it is. It's been proven safe for decades. Now, is it extremely effective against the virus? I think that there's still some debate on that. But it is 100% for sure. We know it is safe. Again, so that's just where we're at. That again, people are so willing to satisfy their hatred of Trump that they are willing to literally get people killed because of it. And they make the opposite argument, but again, they fail to um, acknowledge that their side gets people killed too. That again, it's a rational cost benefit analysis, and I think the cost benefit analysis that we should have kept things open, we should have been open before we reopened, has only been proven to be even more right. Because again, you have the places that have had the harshest lockdowns have not done the best, and that's just plain old fact. So this is from another guy on Steven Crowder, Quarter Black Garrett, and he posts a picture of a mask, and he says the new tinfoil hat. And again, it's satire to a degree, but it's also true to a degree that you have some of these people who think that you got to wear masks, and especially for younger people and people who aren't sick. If you're sick, I understand it. That's the one time when, again, I still don't think people should be forced. But if you're sick, yeah, I understand mask wearing, and I would suggest mask wearing. But if you're not sick, and again, 95% of people, well, probably even more people wearing masks are not sick, and that's the other problem too, is that the vast majority of people don't even wear them properly. They don't even wear them properly because they're constantly touching their face. They're adjusting it. They're doing all that kind of stuff, and that doesn't do anything. That literally makes things worse. And that's the thing that Tam and a lot of these doctors brought up in March and April. That's the problem with mask wearing. And then when the lockdowns were completely disproven, they switched from forcing people to stay home to forcing people to wear masks. And who knows? I mean, eventually it's probably going to be force people to get a vaccine, maybe even with the mask. Maybe it'll be force people to contact trace. Who knows what it'll be next? And then again, that's another reason why, even if you're mildly supportive of mask wearing, you should be against forcing people to wear masks. Because again, the slippery slope argument has been proven true, and this entire pandemic. Because again, 15 days to flatten the curve. We're 4.5 months in. We got to wait for a vaccine, even though there may never be a vaccine. Don't wear masks. Now we're forced to wear masks. Like, again, there's so many examples of the government just flat out lying to people that I don't know how many more people are going to need to admit that the slippery slope argument is unfortunately true here. So anyway, that's the last thing I wanted to bring up. If you like the video, make sure to hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already. Check out the links in the description. Follow me on those other platforms if you haven't already. And stay tuned for more.